Aloha, everyone. Today we have the most interesting and favorite news from around the world of AI. We've got character AI introduces Avatar FX, Grok gets vision, and robots can learn from YouTube tutorials just like you. It's Wednesday, and that means it's News Day. It's April 23rd, 2025. This is episode 448. Welcome to the Daily AI Show. And I am joined by Brian, Beth, Andy, and I am Junmi. All right. So, anybody have a really interesting story that they want to launch this with?
I mean, interesting in the sense that it's interesting because we did a show on it.
Okay.
And we did a show about, what was it? A three-person team winning an Oscar, right? And
Right.
I would of the news stories that came out in the last actually yesterday, and this is out of The Verge. The Oscars officially don't care if films use AI. So the Oscars came out and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts, I should say, not Oscars, and Sciences, excuse me. It says, here's what the Academy says in a passage added to its film eligibility guidelines. With regards to general artificial intelligence and other digital tools used in making of the film, the tools neither help nor harm the chances of achieving a nomination. The Academy and each branch will judge the achievement, taking into account the degree to which a human was at the heart of the creative authorship when choosing which movie to award. That's a pretty big, substantial change, I would say, in the sense that now does it change our previous show where we said, could a three-person team using AI win what was it? The best picture in 7 years. I think that was
Right.
that was the criteria. I'm not
Right.
sure that it necessarily changes whether that's gonna happen. It's not like it's a foregone conclusion, but
Right.
officially, the Oscars are getting out of the way, is the way I read that. They're
Right.
not
They're
saying it's
not putting
impossible.
a kibosh or a prohibit
Right.
on it,
Right.
which is of course the first barrier,
Yeah.
right? I think a lot of our statements in that episode are still valid,
Oh, yeah,
and
for
things
sure.
like that. But I think the way they really look at it is you use CG. This is just a different digital tool, right?
Exactly.
But having an official stance on it, that's pretty cool. At least there isn't gonna be an argument if it can be submitted or not.
The wording to the degree to which a human was at the heart of the creator authorship. And we all know we have all created things using AI where our human heart was at the center of that creation, that it could not have existed had we not put our vision into it or whatever. I mean, surely AI could have created other things, but it was unique to the sense that it was how we saw it, how we prompted, how we asked, how we followed up that uniquely created this AI output in whatever media format that is. So, I'm with you. Like the caveat is like, does it really change anything because humans still are the ones that vote? And there's the question is like, does the bias still exist? Are you as one of the people who's going to vote in a category willing to put your name? I don't know if it's public on who votes for what, if it's anonymous, but do you want your name even associated with the fact that you voted for best picture of something that was clearly AI created with a team of three in 3 to 7 years? I don't know that you want that kind of heat, maybe, but maybe the video is the movie rather is so good and it hits all the right emotional touch points and people go, yeah, I mean, we cared about this in 2024 and 2025, but here we are in 2031, and this is just not as big of a deal to us anymore. So anyway, just wanted to bring it up because it's directly related to a show we previously did.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a great story. That's awesome. I actually didn't find that in my cycle, so, awesome. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Um, I always got my AI in science, but I'll save that for a little later. I actually wanna hear from Beth and Andy. What do you got? What what burning story, is lit a fire under you?
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Go.
I was very impressed by the news that a, Korean startup created by 2 graduate students released an open source text to speech model that exceeds the capabilities of 11 Labs and Sesame.
Wow.
And
Missed
and
that.
it's a what wait, the kicker is it's a 1.6 billion parameter model.
which is tiny, right? That's
tiny. It'll fit on your phone easily.
Yeah.
Oh, the natural language capabilities at state of the art with Sesame, which we've talked about, and 11 Labs, they matched and exceeded it with a 1.6 billion parameter model. Okay, and they were inspired by Notebook LM. They really wanted to do something that was akin to that. And side by side tests showed their model Dia outshining 11 Labs Studio and Sesame's CSM 1 billion model. So, I mean, Sesame also has a very small model. And timing, expressiveness, and handling nonverbal scripts. So that's just further promise that, you know, the the frontiers of model development are fragile, right? It's not just the big players who are going to make breakthrough, transformative changes in the way we work with AI, but it's gonna be a couple of guys in a garage or in a university lab, you know, with supercomputer access. They used Google's TPU research access, so they had really, really big compute to do this. Uh, but now you'll be able to have very, very soon. You're going to have this very expressive AI that's completely contained on your phone. Well, that's just the language part of the model, like I mean the voice articulation part of the model. So there would need to be, as there are, other large language models to do the reasoning and the sort of
Right.
context processing as well. But it's coming soon to a phone near you.
This is a super exciting story. I'm glad you brought it up, Andy. Because as you're talking, all I hear in my brain is, all right, time to put this into the big cauldron of Sakana and just add it to whatever other open source, Oh, here's a dash of my reasoning model. Here's a dash of my vision model. And here I can put Dia in there, and that'll handle my text to speech. And it invoked a lot of that idea. I guess open source just does this for me in general, but that path of here's young researchers going to university, taking advantage of their university resources, and then creating something for the benefit of everybody. I think that's awesome. And we're definitely going to need that path or that chain consistently so that there is an open source version of whatever has been coming out, right? So if it's a text to speech model, boom, here, we've got an open source version. Is it a text to video model? Okay, cool. We have an open source version, and so on and so forth. So we have that alternative. We have a development path other than just keeping it locked away in like OpenAI or something like that. So that, yes, super exciting story. Beth,
We're
what do you got?
Hold
Well,
real quick. I just wanted to bring up Justin's comment on that before you go to a new one, Beth. Will this make Siri even more irrelevant by 2027?
Well, here's the funny thing, Justin. Now they might be able to cut down on the amount of development time because
You
they
would
could
think.
just use this model.
You would think, I grew up in New York, and so although I do not have and have not had a New York accent probably since I was a little kid. There are videos of me on VHS of me talking with a New York accent, which I think is funny because I don't remember those days. But it goes to show, like, Jimmy and Andy, like, is this where we're like eventually going with a Siri or something like that, where it has these really, really small models, 1 to 2 billion parameter models, and it's adjusting to the way that you talk. So if you talk with a little bit of a New York, not even accent, but vernacular or something, or if like my old neighbor used to talk really good Spanglish, does it adjust immediately into your natural way of speaking in order to communicate in a more like comfortable way or whatever? And is it able to do that instantaneously on any device because of the size? So anyway, I just want to bring that up. But Justin.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're gonna have that subtle psychological component where it just adapts to you, right? This is your personal AI. It's gonna adapt. So however you best respond, it's gonna go, oh, okay, I'll do more of that. Let's. I mean, it
uh,
could go crazy, but yeah.
speaking of AI that's adaptive and has some interesting things to say, Character AI unveiled a video model, Avatar FX, and this is sort of a weave or an encompassing in the previous stories because I believe that we are very close to what has primarily been talked about in games, right? That the game will be written as you go through it and based on what you're doing. So it doesn't create the world before you're in the world, but now it's going to create the world as you're moving through. I think we are very close to people being able to have a movie experience that they are in that is written for them, right? So the avatar, you're having a conversation with the avatar. The voice is being generated at that same time. You can say, "Hey, I want to add this other character to bring it into my conversation," and because you can do that with group you can have, like, conversations on character AI with a group of avatars. You've created the personality for them, right? You've created the dossier of what that character is, and now you are able to really create your own reality for that kind of, environment, and the reason that that's important for us to talk about, or at least acknowledge, is because, character AI is already a site that gets an enormous amount of traffic, right? Like, it's always in the top 10, usually, I think, in the top 5. Um, like, this is just gonna create more of a pull for people to stay on the site, right? We've talked about, different pushes that the companies are making to make sure that you spend more time on their platform and don't have a reason to go anywhere else. So, I think what we're gonna see is what we're looking for is, do we see an increase in the engagement? Do we see an increase in their subscription growth? And are we going to see more stories about like, wow, there were some problems that happened for people who were engaging with characters on the platform because now it's even more integral, right? It's not just a text message that you're seeing. You're actually now you have memories of these characters interacting with you and what they were saying, which gets deeper in your memory.
Which both these last 2 stories I feel like is a good call out. I recommend people going and listening to the last Conundrum episode that I put out on Saturday morning because it's about reality, and it's about, actually, I'm double checking myself. Is that the one I just put out? See, that week or the week before. Anyway, I put out a conundrum about, like, what your reality is like. I think it was this last weekend,
It's
and,
the one with the 3D
yes.
slightly phased
Yes.
thumbnail.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Beth. Okay, I was just like, I do these a lot. Which one did I do? But the point that I brought up to that really quick, it's not a news story, is just to say that like both of these last 2 stories really start to talk about what that conundrum is about. And real quick, if you don't know what I'm talking about, in the newsletters, I always did conundrums. A conundrum is a question that doesn't really have an easy yes or no answer. It's not black or white. It's like that's we could all debate a conundrum on the show and we could all have really interesting points, yet none of us are definitively right or wrong, right? That's what the genius of a conundrum is. So I started making those into actual mostly Spotify and YouTube videos. But this last one is like about this idea of how we're increasingly moving towards our personal realities being different than the people that are around us. And whereas we're really comfortable or we're familiar, I should say, with that maybe being the case on social media and on our phone in a visual interface like that, that we are all well, most people are aware that their algorithms are trying to put stuff in front of them. We're aware socially how that could be a problem because people get into echo chambers and stuff. What happens and what that episode is about is what happens when that leaves the screen and starts becoming part of your physical world. And you guys are actually talking about the types of technologies and AI tools that are very quickly leaving text to text and start going to visual and auditory. And Beth, I think your point is really valid, which is it's a whole lot more real. And we've said this on the show a lot. When it was one thing to read something from character AI and you read the text and you go, that's a story. Or like I really said from childhood, I love the choose your own adventure stories or building the world as you go. That's one thing. What happens when in your reality, in your world looking around, that you're starting to have these sort of interactions. And that's why that thumbnail is sort of a fractured somebody walking down a New York street, is because the idea is that Beth and me and Jimmy, we could all be walking down the same physical space together. We could actually be in the same physical room together in the future, but having really unique and different realities
Right.
in our physical world. And I think these both point directly towards that idea of what happens when that happens.
And I just want to jump on that a little bit, because what we're talking about is memory, right? So if we connect this to ChatGPT adding memory, which we talked about last week, I think during news, so that ChatGPT is now building memories of like from your previous conversations. I said yesterday, wow, I just had a thought. Is that an experience that I had or that I dreamed about?
Mm.
Right? And it turned out it was an experience that I had. But now we're adding a third category. Is that an experience that I had really? Is it an experience I dreamt about? Or is it an experience that I had that was not real, but I have real memories of it?
Yeah. Was I in the holodeck or was I actually
Right.
there?
Exactly. Are there 4 lights? Sorry, that's a Star Trek
And
reference.
could the holodeck
By-
say,
By the
we
way,
are now in the holodeck, right?
you guys should watch the Sci-Fi AI show. Not you, not Beth and Jimmy. You guys do the Sci-Fi show, but our audience should, because you guys talk about really cool things like this and how art imitates life, and you talk about sort of like different technologies that have shown up in movies and stuff like that. And I mean, look, the holodeck is sort of famous for that idea of walking into some new reality that you can conjure up or whatever. And whether we're like getting really close, but here's in the news too, and then I'll let this topic go, but. I just watched like a Bloomberg Originals. They keep showing up on YouTube. I clearly like those YouTube clips from Bloomberg Originals because they do a lot of AI, and I just think they do a really good job of being like sort of impartial and just they're not trying to. It's not political in any way. It's just like, hey, here's what's going on. But they just did one with the founder of DeepMind. I don't remember his name, but very famous, been in the AI world for a long time. For Google DeepMind, and they were sort of talking about that holodeck type idea and how they're building virtual worlds and people can interact with them. And so I quite literally watched that clip probably 3 days ago on Bloomberg's YouTube channel. So it's certainly something it's in the news and swirling around right now.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's exciting. It'll be really exciting to see if character AI, specifically, like what their next step is. Right? They've done the text, they've done the visual. Now, what are we gonna see? Are we gonna see that step into AR VR space? Don't know. Okay, well, Carl's joined us. So, Carl, what is your burning story that makes you all riled up? Is it Google? Is it recycling? What?
No, there's no riled up. This is one of my favorite stories. I don't know if anyone heard about this.
Can you bring your mic up a little bit? Carl, it's hard to hear you.
No, that's not my mic. That's my stupid MacBook mic because I can't use my mic on this stupid.
Now he's riled up. Now he's riled up.
Now he's riled up. Oh, okay.
Let's talk about
Plus, but the story I wanted to go with was so these Columbia students were suspended, or they were suspended over creating a cheating tool called Cluely, and but they raised $5.3 million in seed. But it's like, who cares?
Here, but
I raised. So I want you to. I want to show you the video. I don't know if you've seen it of this. So I share this. Okay. Sound on. Okay. Here it is. Okay. Everybody can see it. Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, how old did you say you were?
I'm 30 years old.
Your profile says you worked at Bananazon?
Yeah. I've been there for the past 8 years doing like senior software engineering. So, like coding.
Really?
You look, I know I look a little young for my age, but I promise you, I'm 30 years old.
Okay, well, maybe you are just way older than you look.
I saw in your profile back you're like into art.
Yeah, I've been going to illustrations by Nara. All right, I didn't expect you to be an art guy. Oh, yeah.
Here's your glass of rosé. And sorry, we couldn't verify your ID. Oh, so here's a grape juice for you.
Oh, wait. I'm pretty sure there's a mistake.
I think you're way too young for me, so I'm gonna have to go.
Wait. Okay, look, listen. I know I lied about my age. I'm sorry, but the second I saw your profile and the painting with the tulips, you're just like the most gorgeous girl ever, and you're such an unbelievably talented artist. Do you think you can just give me like one chance to show you I can make this work?
Can you give me some time to think about it? Are you free sometime next week?
Ooh, actually, next week I have this anime convention I gotta go to with my boys. Do you think we could do like next month, maybe?
Oh my god.
That's well done.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I don't follow. I don't follow that at all. How is that an introduction to a cheating tool for college students?
so when you probably seen those videos of, and I don't know if they're real or not, of people taking interviews
Yeah.
on Zoom, on Teams, and they have something with them that's literally listening to the interviewer and then pretty much giving them the response.
Ah, I see. Okay, so in an exam room, you would have a clicky AI that
Yeah.
was helping you with the,
Yeah.
What I've seen with the videos that on that, I mean, have you seen these, Carl, on like TikTok? And they're meant to look like it's okay. So it's like a lecture room. The professor gets mad at a student and says, "You're not listening," or whatever. And then it's somebody else from a third view from a camera, like who's picked up the camera to be like, "Oh, what's going down in the classroom?" But it's completely staged. It looks exactly like like it's happening, but it's an ad for this type of software on the computer.
Oh, right.
But it's totally it's really whoever marketing wise came up with that is genius. Cause like if you don't know what you're looking at, you think you're just somebody pulled up the camera and they're like, oh, what's about to happen? And the student is arguing, the professor's trying to throw them out, blah, 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 the whole thing. But anyway, it's like it's like that kind of software. Also, I thought cheating, it meant like that looked like cheating on a date cheating, not cheating on a
Read the full, so I just wanted to read the TechCrunch article because it's cheating across the board.
Yeah,
So it's like, so Lee, who is clearly CEO, told TechCrunch they surpassed 3 million in ARR this month. So, and then there's another guy named Neil Shanmugam, was embroiled in disciplinary proceedings at Columbia over the AI tool. So have been dropped from Columbia. The university's student newspaper reported last week. So Cluely began as a tool for developers to cheat on knowledge of lead code, a platform for coding questions that some in software engineering circles consider outdated, waste of time. Funny enough, Lee says he was able to snag an internship with Amazon using the AI cheating tool. So it's like, it just one of this reinforces to me is like school means jack for a lot of kids. Like, okay, I just raised 5.3, I made 3 million in ARR. What am I doing at Columbia? What am I doing there? Like, I can make this in AI. So I was like, there is no still, it didn't matter, right?
Yeah.
And that it's just interesting that's like the whole cheating side, but then there's another like just I thought this whole thing was really funny. There's so many avenues you could go down this route, but there is a tool called Cluely that can literally do what they kind without the glasses, obviously, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, this is a very interesting topic in in overview kind of thing because I understand why they developed it specifically for software interviews or software engineering interviews because the most interview process is complete bull. You don't need it. It should just be like, we have this slot. Do you have the requisite skills? Because most interview processes will have a test. They'll look at projects you've spent time on, and then like whatever repos you have out there, and then they'll give you a short project to just break out whatever skills you have, which is more, it provides more insight. And even that we're going to see over time. It's like, well, do junior developers need that, since they have these powerful AI, tools? Do they have it? It becomes more about, I guess, that calculator question, right? You want me to come up with the result consistently and use those results to get you bigger results. Okay, that's the basic premise, right? When they introduce the calculator, obviously, the teachers and everybody else is just like, well, the calculator's doing the work. It's like, well, what's important about the work isn't that I can add the numbers. What is important about the work is I know how the numbers are added and what the results are and how I can turn that into bigger results. So, but on the other side of that coin is what happens in 5 to 10 years. Is there anybody who has that inherent, standalone, independent knowledge and experience to be able to be your senior, right? What does a senior position look like in 10 years from this point, when something like Cluely can give you the information that you need? And how much of that information is retained from project to project? Where does it become institutional memory, right? Where does it become the glue and the skeletons in the closet and all of those kinds of things that you need to take, that any business accumulates over time and takes it to the next generation, and it's like, here are the real tricks of the trade, you know those kinds of things. And so I think this kind of space will be really interesting to see. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll see any real insights if the direction is good or not for a number of years.
Before we jump to a news story, can I just bring up some comments from our folks in the chat, because I think this is really nice and insightful. And Delma says, having skills, quote, doesn't mean what it used to. Having skills now includes running prompts to produce the desired outcome. And then I really like what Cisco said, 100% Delma, but then also followed up and said, it reminds me of having a university degree. It's more knowing where to look, i.e. sources, and how to think. Same now with AI, what to use and how to prompt, my 2 cents. So I think, you guys are like, as I see it, dead on. There we go. How don't you? Because like, and not to get off topic with news, and so we can get to more news, but it is that larger story of the Cluely and stuff like that, of um universities and others having to, and jobs and interviews having to adapt to this. And it's like, you guys, for those of us old enough, remember when they would do like the Nintendo championships, and in order to figure out who the best Nintendo player in the world was, they would show them simultaneously a new game nobody had ever seen. It would be like Super Mario Brothers 3, and then they would have to play and try to beat Super Mario 3 without ever seeing it before. And so, of course, they were having to rely on their previous skills to navigate and yada yada yada, like their experiences. And so, I know it's not the same thing because it's like not a net new team, but like I almost wonder if the future of interviews is not like, for coding and stuff, is not like, can you code? Because my expectation would be like, dude, if you can't use AI to get to this code faster, you're not actually the right person for me, because you're not thinking outside the box. I'm not that concerned on whether you can write it long form. I don't personally care. I care that it's the right code, that it's the right deployment, blah blah blah. So is the future here more like, given tools that you've never had access to before and given a set of instructions, can you navigate your way through this? Use as much AI as you want. We're hoping you do. We're hoping you come up with new innovative ways of using 3 or 4 different AI tools to help you get to this answer faster. That's what we're hiring you on, not on the idea of, can you replicate or code this into existence from scratch? And now we're worried about whether you just have cursor running in the background and it's doing it for you. It's just a higher level again.
Exactly. It's that approach of like Cisco was saying. It's how to think, how to troubleshoot, how to get to the results. People were saying that with Google searches, right? Look it up. You don't necessarily need to memorize that information, but you can totally use Google well enough to find out the information. And it's that results-based results-based or that quantification of what's important. Yeah.
But the human in the loop, and we need to move on, but maybe this is a show later on, but the human in the loop is based on that it's a human, right? That you are a human thinking human thoughts, doing human things. This, in many ways, is monkey mouth, right? You're the puppet saying what the AI told you to say.
Man, you guys are getting me with monkey fingers and monkey.
Right. That's another death.
There's an
I have never heard.
I love that term a lot. Monkey hand.
I don't know about you guys. I had never heard that term ever in my life until Carl. And now, Beth, you said monkey mouth.
It's not Carl. It's
Carl.
Beth was both times.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was Carl.
And it's the reason you haven't heard it is because we created it in a conversation on the Daily Age.
Oh, it's not it. I didn't realize it was a DOS thing. I didn't realize that it came from our show. I thought this was like people were typically saying monkey fingers. And I was like, I've never heard this term before. I didn't realize you created it that on the spot.
Ryan, you just have to realize that everything that we say and do is going to have a huge impact in the zeitgeist of the world, specifically in the AI sphere. We know that they watch the show, right? We know they all watch the show, and then they announce something right after our show is done. Just saying. Yeah.
Well, I do have a quick pivot on that story, just to pivot off of it, because I do like the way this TechCrunch article starts. I'm just going to read it verbatim. This is from Julie Abort. I love the way she says this. Every now and then, a Silicon Valley startup launches with such an absurdly described mission that it's difficult to discern if the startup is for real or just satire. Such is the case with McKinsey, but that's MECH, like mechanical, McKinsey, a startup whose founder and the nonprofit AI research organization he founded called Epic is being skewered on X after he announced it. McKinsey was launched on Thursday via post on X by its founder, a famed AI research oh God, there's no chance of me getting that last name right. The startup's goal, as he said, is the full automation of all work and, quote, the full automation of the economy. He goes on to say the market potential here is absurdly large. Workers in the U.S. are paid around $18 trillion per year in aggregate. For the entire world, that's about 3 times higher, $60 trillion, he wrote. He did go ahead and clarify to TechCrunch, our immediate focus is indeed on white-collar work rather than the manual labor jobs that would require robotics. So, look, who knows? It could be the next great company. I'm not knocking what was it? McKenzie? I have a friend named McKenzie, so it keeps throwing me off. Anzi on there, but it's more about the way this TechCrunch article starts with, like, it's so absurd that, and that's why people are obviously going after, I'm sure, this founder on X, which I'm sure it's a great thread to
I know it's considered absurd now, but so is AI being able to spew out Shakespeare like 20 years ago.
I mean, you're absolutely right.
Hey,
anyway, just
and you know what? The only way that can happen is if nobody has to work anymore. All right, but
and just to clarify, it's mechanized. What you're seeing as McKenzie is mechanized.
Is that what it was?
No,
I guess I was just in my head of being McKenzie, but it's mechanized, which makes way more sense. Okay. So thanks, Beth.
I like that. Automation works then. Okay. All right. We're going to get on to some more news, people. Sorry. But there's some great stories. All right. So now it's time for AI in science. Science. Oh, man. I'm going to have to do that forever now, aren't I? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I got 2 AI in science stories. All right. So I opened the show. This story is called Robot See, Robot Do. System learns after watching how-to videos. So the fine folks at Cornell University have come up with a framework for robotics powered by AI called RHYME, which is retrieval for hybrid limitation or hybrid imitation under mismatch execution. Again, another acronym created to sound like a real word. And this is science, folks, so they'll just come up with what they need to. I like to think of their choice as being the opposite of reason. It's rhyme and reason, right? Okay, but essentially, it provides a new framework for training robots, right? The traditional method of training robots and what is continued as a major part of robot education or training is you have to be very specific on the list of instructions, right? Down to exactly where things need to be positioned, for how long, where they are in coordinate space, all of those kinds of things. And that's very tedious, taxing, and resource intensive to process all that. Now, with advancement in AI and LLMs specifically, you've been able to make leaps into improving that entire process. Now, what RHYME hopes to do is solve the gap of learning how to do a task, right? And now it does this through imitation, just like how people do. But what they're able to do is with one-shot video tutorials. So a robot can watch a video, see how to do something, and replicate it. So it's like, oh, that human is moving that cup over to that over there. How do I do that? Let me watch a tutorial of how to move a cup onto a cabinet or into a shelf. Okay, cool. All right, that gives me the idea of how to do it. All right, now let me replicate that task. So, just like how you've said in the past, Brian, this will be the robots are now putting on their heads-up display, their AR glasses, and they're like, all right, how are you doing it, human? What do you want me to do? Okay, cool. Let me watch a YouTube video about that first. All right, cool. I got it. And now let me move this here. Let me repair that washer or dryer. Let me do X, Y, Z. Let me go take out the recycling because I saw Carl do a YouTube video of how to take out his recycling. Now I know how to do it.
Specifically on his steps and his on his
Exactly. And all Carl's got to do is just hold up his phone and go through his process of recycling. And now the robot will learn how to do Carl's recycling.
So I have some supporting news for your robot segment.
Oh,
there's a company, Physical Intelligence. They have a robot that they've just released, Pi.5. It can clean up in brand new homes without ever having seen them before by already understanding both what to do and how to do it. That's agentic embodied AI with a large knowledge base about homes. So no training required. It'll figure out how to clean up in your home. So that's a leading candidate, in my opinion, for Carl's take out the recycling. So long as it's been trained on that one, by the way. But at the same time, what we're talking about is in context learning. What your example provides, Jimmy, is in context learning. There's an element of that for the Physical Intelligence's robot, but it's already possessed of enough reasoning, shall we say, about that environment that it can do it without much trial and error, let's say. Okay, and the other little piece is that I'm not sure about the name of this company, but it's Anos and Ugo have integrated nose technology into humanoid robots, enabling them to detect sense, enhancing decision-making and interactions. So we can think of a number of possible applications for that inside the home, but in general, whether those robots are, in the sort of a manufacturing environment or elsewhere, having the ability to sense something that's happening in the airspace is an important skill, important sensory skill.
Absolutely. That automatically makes my brain go to, oh, the garbage can isn't full visually, but what's in there definitely needs to be taken out, right? Those kinds of decisions.
So I have a kind of a pivot off this with another news story, but also Andy, the company name you just said, I believe it's pronounced mechanized, but that's neither here nor there. What I was going to say, I couldn't help myself. I made Beth laugh, so it's worth it. I made Beth laugh, and listen, Beth is in comedy, so if I make Beth laugh, it's all worth it to me. Um, what I was going to say is the pivot is so okay. We're talking about robots, human in the rooms, and it's a kind of a side pivot here, but I think follow me here. So what I hear you saying is like it's not really recycling for me. It's I don't enjoy cooking at all. I just don't. I love food. I would love to be able to cook. I love Cuban food, to be honest with you. I kind of grew up around it with neighbors, and but I'm not going to go learn it. So now robots can watch YouTube videos on how to cook it, but also robots don't have to like open my fridge. They can just talk to the fridge, which gets to the agent part that I'm going to talk to you about here in a second. It can also just talk to the grocery store, know what it's got in stock, and provide the Uber delivery that I'm going to need or whatever that is to get the just-in-time ingredients. If I say to the robot in my house, "Hey, I'm thinking Cuban food tonight," and it says, "Let me look up a few quick recipes with plantains or whatever," and it goes off and does that, goes and gets the groceries, knows what my fridge is doing, knows the best time to turn on the stove, blah blah blah. Right. So the news pivot here is that one Pass, which I don't use One Pass. I use a different company, but One Password, excuse me, One Password, which I know is a popular password container, company. Here's something I found really interesting because I feel like they're ahead of the game on this agentic AI security. So I had to read into this. It's from siliconangle.com is where this came from. Here's what they're doing. They're getting ahead with an SDK software development kit to help agents talk to agents. So we've seen with MCP, we've talked about it, A to A, we were talking about that. Oh, or operator, maybe any of the systems that are supposed to go off on your behalf and go do things autonomously or agentically for you. Carl has shown us a month or two ago with operator. Okay, I have to stop and put in a password. I have to stop and put a password. And so it brings up this larger conversation about like, well, what do you do when a whole bunch of agents need to have access to a whole bunch of agents and security things or whatever? And what I found really interesting is like One Password seems to be on top of this in terms of starting to put out and roll out the types of solutions that are going to need to exist that are different fundamentally than just passwords as we know them today and help give authentication signals through from agents to agents and where that level security is along the way. I just found it really, really interesting and kudos to them to be thinking ahead on this. I'm sure there's other companies thinking about this too. This is just the first company I've read about that seems to be forward thinking and going, we need a different way of looking about this if we're going to have agents working with agents autonomously, not with me or Carl or anybody in the room who's there to say, here's the next password. Yes, I agree to this next thing, because that's okay today as human in the loop. But eventually these processes will be so reliable that you're going to keep peeling away the human, right? You're going to keep pulling the human out of the loop. You won't need to. So now how do you trust the agents to reliably connect with sensitive data through an MCP protocol, from agent to agent, all using the same language and tools? So just really, really interesting story there. I'll be looking forward to following up with what they develop.
Yeah, cybersecurity in general or security protocols in the AI world is fast approaching ahead, right? Um, and luckily, I don't know where I saw it, but there's some news about companies that are being created specifically to provide those solutions to fill those gaps. So that's always good to hear. So we'll see how that plays out.
I can weave off of security. Um, News that Anthropic's chief information security officer, Jason Clinton, is predicting that AI-powered virtual employees will begin operating in corporate networks this year, within the next 12 months.
Wow.
And that brings new challenges in security management because you have to create the structure for these AI employees to have their own corporate accounts, passwords. You know, are they permitted to have memories about everything in the environment, or do they get compartmentalized just as humans are now? Like nobody gets access to the payroll information, right? But maybe the AI virtual employee needs that for one purpose, but does it have the security protections not to reveal that to anybody who isn't authorized, for example? So he's working at Anthropic on facing those security challenges in order to enable the delivery of virtual employees and coming soon.
Nice.
But this makes me wonder, like, is what kind of AI employee is it? Is it the Carl AI employee? Because now, like, this AI employee is going to tell you where all the holes are in your system, right? So you've set this up, but you haven't um, all the deficiencies are in the training data, right? All right.
Mm.
Well, I think the distinction about a virtual employee and a workflow automation is, one is automations are basically task oriented. Perform this task with this output, whereas a virtual employee is going to be agentic in the sense that it can reason and it can plan. It knows all the tools. It knows which ones it has access to, has permissions for, and it can employ any one of those in pursuit of any objective that you assign it. So
Yeah.
that's I think the distinction.
I've been doing, you guys know that's on the side that I've been doing, working on the side project, the super secret squirrel stuff, and I've been obviously sharing with you guys. But you asked me the other day, Andy, when I was giving you an update on this, and I was just telling you how impressed I was. Call it vibe coding, I don't know what to call it, but just how impressed I was working side by side with Claude, that I had in 3 times in one day over the weekend had run through all my credits. And that I had to start 3 different chats with Claude, which, someday won't have to happen, that I'll have 17 million context window, whatever, 1 billion context window, something like that. But I had to, with the constraints. But that process over the last 2 weeks, and I've been putting in like probably an extra 40 hours a week working on this project, has been really sort of like transformative for me, because I think it's exactly what I expect this future that you guys are talking about to feel like. Right now, it's me asking the right questions of Claude, paying some stupid tax along the way. When I don't ask it the right way, Claude still answers me faithfully and doesn't hallucinate, but also doesn't think around the horn and around the corner and go, hold on a second. I see where you're going with this. You might want to think about this from this other route. Claude is just eager to help. But future agentic coworkers, the goal here is of like this like super version of what I've basically been working with Claude, which is something that has that deeper knowledge that doesn't have to rely on the human anymore for me to keep it on track, so to speak. And like, how much data, how much memory does it have? How much history going back does it have? So that it's actually agentically working around these problems, instead of me going to Claude and saying, here's what I'm looking at on my screen, and here's what I'm thinking, and blah, blah, blah. Claude goes, yeah, okay. And let's work this way or that way, or try this, try that. Also show me your output so I can tell you, we can confirm whether we're moving in the right direction or not. All these great things, that's sort of all sorts to fade away. And then you really are just working alongside these real agentic coworkers that I think you want to have as much, as long as you can do the security side, you want to have as much memory as possible, so that the agents are able to look around the corners a little bit, and uncover the hidden things, the insights that aren't really readily knowledgeable by me. I don't know what they are, because I don't have the knowledge of every other person working on this project at my team or something. So
Yeah,
anyway, it's
well,
really exciting.
I resonate with what you're talking about because my experience with working with both Replit agent and also Lovable.dev's agent
Mhm.
is like that. It's like working with a really competent coworker, but that coworker just has a sort of a failing memory about things that have happened before,
Yep.
and it also, is not capable of this sort of looking ahead, seeing the right direction and path and advising in that respect. It's not strategic in that way. It is really, really responsive, and it's doing a lot of things that including planning. Like if I give it the task of, hey, I want you to plan out the addition of this new feature, and it's complicated. It's going to require database schema changes. It's going to require major changes to the API, OpenAI API connections, and which endpoints we're using. But so I don't want you to do anything, but I want you to lay out the whole plan. it has really good reasoning and planning capabilities that way beyond what would be possible in the 30 seconds it takes to produce that with a human coworker. Right? So I totally get it, and it's really wonderful that way. And then there's a different kind of thing with Manus. So I've been playing with Manus recently, which I use as a fire and forget assistant. Like I just give it a task and it goes off and works on it, and I come back to it much later, and I'm not really interacting to try to guide it. It's more completely agentic in the sense that it's going to come up with a complete solution. It took much longer to produce that, not 30 seconds, but maybe 30 minutes plus. Um, but it's a new class of agent, and that's where we're going. We're going to the ones that you can just give it the assignment, and it'll continuously and iteratively refine that over time in order to arrive at, constantly improving endpoints for the result.
Will you be able to demo some of that, Andy, on Friday when we do our Show Me show?
I can show Manus, yeah, but Manus, again, there's not a lot of stuff that I'm doing. It's basically giving Manus a job, and Manus goes and does it. So it's impressive, but it's actually it's difficult to display, as I'm sure you would argue. It's difficult to display what the interactions are with a coding agent.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much complexity in the dialogue there. You really can't share it on a show like this. Everybody needs to start trying it. Try building something simple in one of these coding platforms.
Yeah.
And you'll start to get this feel of having a coworker that's really capable alongside you.
I'm looking forward to that because I got access to Manus. Oh, right when Ann was a guest host on the show. And I haven't opened it once. Like I've had it, but I've just been busy, and it's like, man, I don't know. So I'm actually curious to hear you talk about Manus because like it made a big splash and I haven't heard a lot about it in the news cycle. So
Well, I know you commented on a Ethan Mollick LinkedIn post about Manus.
yeah, because it's really interesting to me. I think it's a really good idea. I just haven't gone. It's kind of what I want to see on Friday is like maybe just some ideas, even if we can't run them live. Cause like you said, I mean, it's, come back in 30 minutes or whatever it is. But just, I think would be really helpful is like just hearing your thought process, Andy, on like, well, these are the types of things I'm trying to give to Manus to see if I can get an answer. Even if we can't demo it, it's still sort of showing that it's the show me side of it. Like, this is how I'm thinking about playing with Manus, which would be super cool. So anyway.
Sure. I'll definitely bring up some examples.
Okay. So like Friday should be super interesting. Definitely gonna take a look at
I
that.
just want to jump in there. You've all been playing with Manus. I have both Manus and GenSpark. I find GenSpark significantly better than Manus.
All right, the gauntlet's been thrown. All right, we'll see on Friday. GenSpark versus Manus. Carl versus Andy.
Sounds like its own show.
Yeah, that could be its own show. That's true. That's true. We should definitely discuss that. Now, Beth, did you have another story? Because we're near wrapping up time, so I just wanted to make sure that we got to whatever you were talking about.
So, one of the themes that I think that could be a great show topic for the Daily AI show is the WTF AI. Like, who was looking for that? And my story is that the UAE is now using AI to write their laws. UA plans to let AI write laws. UAE, sorry, United Arab Emirates announced plans to integrate AI directly into its lawmaking process. The aim is to speed up legislative development significantly. It's a pioneering, if controversial, step toward automating aspects of governance to what we've been talking about. It could hold in its memory concurrently way more information about the laws that they have. But it raises questions about reliability, bias, and human judgment in lawmaking. So, what we're looking for out of this is reactions from legal experts and whether it's something that will be accepted from the public, right? Because this, as we've talked about before, the public is going to be behind something that makes government more responsive and more helpful to them and not be behind something that makes them trust government less. So this is an interesting play. Um, and
It-
I guess also this is very likely like an announced plan to be transparent. I'm sure that behind the scenes, a lot of people who work in government are using AI to one extent or another to augment what they're doing.
You know, my first question is, did your research or articles mention the entities involved in this project?
Uh, let's see. This came from Horizon AI, the Horizon AI newsletter. And I do not see the names of the entities involved right now. I will have to get back to you about that.
Okay,
Thank you.
that'll be interesting to just see if there's anything recognizable there. Okay. All right. So we're at time, but we do have to check a box and make sure that this story that I mentioned at the beginning we talk about. So closing up the show, here's a short story about XAI's Grok chatbot can now see the world around it. Basically, XAI announced that the launch of Grok Vision, which is a vision component for Grok, so you can point your phone camera at something, and it will try and recognize it for you. Not the newest tech out there, of course, not the newest feature, but it is one more component that helps make Grok a more or true multimodal type of model. Right now, it's only for the Grok app on iOS, with future plans to release on Android. And you do need to be subscribed to um, the $30 a month Super Grok plan. Okay. Well, I hope we got through enough news for everybody in chat. Please come back. We talked about so many different things. You're gonna have to watch the video 5,000 times from different IP addresses and MAC addresses. Pretty please. Um, we've got we've got a couple more days of shows this week. Um, Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the 7 AI rollout mistakes that will sink your strategy. And on Friday, like we mentioned about it, it's the Be About It show. So we will bring our real world applications of AI and how we are using it. And then you might get a preview of the colossal match of the Titans of Manus and Genspark between Carl Ye and Andy Halliday. All right, gentlemen, take your corners, and we will see you on Friday. Remember, if you want to follow along, join the DAS community at dailyaishowcommunity.com. Sign up for the newsletter at thedailyAIshow.com. Drop us an email at thedailyAIshow@gmail.com if you want to know more. So thank you all for joining us. Like, subscribe, do all the fun CTAs, and it's been great spending a little time with you. Hope to see you tomorrow. Aloha.